Get this. AI can learn better from a good story.
Oh, really?
It's true.
Wow.
Researchers are finding that, structuring information in a narrative format can make AI even better at solving problems.
Interesting.
It's kind of wild how something as simple as storytelling can have such a big impact, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if you want to keep diving deep into these fascinating AI insights, hit that subscribe button and support the show.
I'm in.
We've got some groundbreaking research today exploring how to make AI discussions unforgettable.
Okay.
And D, how to boost AI's reasoning skills.
That sounds fascinating.
It's a 2-for-1 deep dive.
I like it.
We're going to uncover the secrets of telling captivating AI stories.
Sounds good.
And then delve into how to actually make AI think more effectively.
It's like learning how to talk to AI and teach it to think at the same time.
Exactly. Let's start with the storytelling side.
Okay.
Researchers are suggesting some really unconventional techniques to make AI discussions more engaging.
They're saying instead of just laying out facts, we should treat AI topics like a mystery podcast.
Okay.
Imagine an episode that starts with a real-world problem that seems impossible for AI to solve.
I see where you're going with this.
Like,
It's all about tapping into that human curiosity, right?
Yeah.
We're naturally drawn to puzzles and challenges.
right.
By framing AI discussions this way, we create a narrative that keeps listeners hooked.
Okay, but how would that actually work?
Hmm.
Give me an example.
Imagine an episode that starts with, "Can AI predict earthquakes?"
Okay.
And instead of just giving a yes or no answer, we unravel the story behind how researchers are using AI to analyze seismic data, the challenges they face, the breakthroughs they've made, and what it could mean for predicting future earthquakes.
Okay, I see how that would be way more interesting than just a dry explanation.
Right.
And it's not just mysteries, right?
Yeah,
The researchers also talk about using tension and contrasting viewpoints.
I see.
Like starting an episode with AI will save the world versus AI will steal all our jobs.
Exactly. By presenting these conflicting perspectives right off the bat, you immediately create tension
Right.
and draw the listener into the debate.
But wouldn't that be kind of misleading?
How so?
I mean, the reality is probably somewhere in between those extremes.
Of course, it's not about presenting these viewpoints as absolute truths, but rather as starting points for a more nuanced discussion.
Okay.
It's like a good debate. You
Mhm.
need those strong, contrasting arguments to get people thinking critically.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got mysteries and conflicting viewpoints.
Right.
What other storytelling tricks do they have up their sleeves?
Well, think about those shows that use time travel jumps.
Yeah.
Researchers suggest trying that with AI, too.
Uh-huh.
Imagine starting an episode with a groundbreaking AI achievement,
Okay.
like a robot that can perform surgery,
Wow.
and then rewinding to reveal the whole story behind it, the struggles, the mistakes, that aha moment.
I can see how that would make it more relatable.
Yeah.
We often focus on the end result, but the journey is just as important. It shows that innovation isn't always a straight line.
Right.
It's full of twists and turns.
Right. It humanizes the process and makes it more engaging for the listener.
I like it.
And just like a good detective show, revealing information piece by piece, like uncovering clues, can make the topic much more captivating.
So it's like we're on a quest for knowledge together.
I love that, speaking of keeping things interesting, the researchers also talk about incorporating unexpected elements,
Yes.
like throwing in a mind-blowing twist at the end.
Exactly. Imagine an episode about AI art that ends with the reveal that the artwork we've been discussing was actually created by a human, not a machine.
Oh, wow.
That kind of twist would challenge our assumptions and make us think about the creative potential of both humans and AI.
That's a great example. It leaves the listener with something to ponder even after the episode ends.
For sure.
And they also suggest bringing in someone completely outside the tech world, like an artist or a musician, to share their unique perspective on AI. Yeah, it's all about breaking down those mental silos we build around technology.
Yeah.
By showcasing diverse voices and unexpected applications, we can make AI discussions more relatable and engaging for a wider audience.
Yeah, right. It shows that AI has implications for everyone, not just the techie folks.
Absolutely. And when things start to get really complex, a little humor or a topic shift can go a long way.
Those pattern interrupts you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. It's like a mental palate cleanser.
Good.
It gives the listener a moment to pause, absorb the information, and then dive back in feeling refreshed.
I'm definitely stealing some of these ideas for future episodes, but before we get too carried away with storytelling, let's shift gears and explore the other side of the coin, how to actually boost AI's reasoning capabilities.
Sounds good.
This is where ECHO comes in, which stands for Self-Harmonized Chain of Thought.
Interesting.
What's fascinating about Echo is that it focuses on enhancing AI's reasoning abilities
Okay.
through a structured, step-by-step approach.
Got it.
It's like teaching AI to think more like a human.
I like that.
Okay, so less jumping to conclusions more carefully, considering each piece of the puzzle.
Right.
But I'm a little fuzzy on how Echo actually does that. Can you break it down for me?
Think of it like this. You have a complex math problem to solve. Instead of trying to find the answer immediately, Echo guides the AI to break the problem down into smaller, more manageable steps, just like a human would.
Okay, that makes sense. But what makes Echo so special?
Hmm.
Don't other AI systems also break down problems into smaller steps?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Echo doesn't just stop at breaking down the problem.
Okay.
It actually analyzes all the different ways it solved those smaller steps.
Right.
And then tries to unify them into a single efficient pattern. It's like it's teaching itself to think systematically.
So it's not just finding the answer, it's learning how to solve problems better in the future.
Precisely. It's about building a framework for more efficient and consistent reasoning in AI.
All right. I'm starting to see the potential here, but I'm also curious about how well this approach actually works. Did the researchers put Echo to the test?
They did. They tested Echo on a variety of reasoning tasks,
Okay.
from math problems and common sense questions to even symbolic reasoning, and the results are really impressive.
Okay, spill the tea. Give me the highlights.
Across all domains, Echo consistently outperformed other methods, showing that this approach to AI reasoning really holds up.
Okay.
But what's even more exciting is that Echo's overall performance was incredibly close to a method that uses carefully crafted human-written examples to guide it.
Wait, so you're telling me that Echo, which essentially learns to reason on its own,
Right.
is almost as good as a method that relies on human intelligence? That's huge.
It is, and it suggests that we're on the right track with this approach to AI reasoning. By focusing on self-improvement and adaptability, we can potentially close the gap between human-guided and self-guided AI systems.
This is like watching AI evolve in real time.
Okay.
Okay, so Echo is great for overall performance, but I'm curious about how it did in specific areas. Did it shine in any particular domain?
Interestingly, Echo excelled in symbolic reasoning tasks, even surpassing the human-guided method in that area.
Wow. These tasks often involve manipulating abstract concepts and following logical rules, which seems to align perfectly with Echo's structured and unifying approach.
So for tasks that require clear step-by-step logic, Echo might be the way to go. But what about areas like common sense reasoning?
Yeah.
Those can be pretty tricky for AI.
Yeah.
How did Echo handle those?
That's where things get a bit more nuanced, while Echo still performed well in common sense reasoning. It didn't quite reach the level of the human-guided method.
Huh.
It seems that tasks requiring a more nuanced understanding of the world and human behavior still benefit from that human touch.
That makes sense. Common sense is one of those things that's even hard for humans to explain sometimes.
Exactly. But even though Echo didn't completely close the gap in common sense reasoning, its strong performance overall suggests that it's a powerful tool for enhancing AI reasoning across a wide range of tasks.
This is all so fascinating, but before we go any further, I think it's time for a quick break. We'll be right back to unpack exactly how this unification process works. Stay tuned. Looking forward to it. Welcome back. Before the break, we were diving into Echo and how it's changing the game for AI reasoning. We left off with the idea of unifying solutions. Let's break that down a bit further.
Okay, so let's say Echo has broken down a problem and come up with a bunch of different ways to solve each step. What goes next?
Think of each solution path as a separate thread. Echo takes those threads, analyzes them, and tries to weave them together into one strong cord. It's all about finding the most efficient and consistent way to reach the goal.
So it's not about picking the best solution from the bunch. It's about learning from all the solutions to create something even better.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that different approaches can lead to a more robust and adaptable AI.
I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal. It's like Echo is teaching itself to think outside the box, or maybe inside multiple boxes at the same time.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about hard-coding specific rules or solutions. It's about giving AI the tools to learn and adapt on its own.
I'm officially intrigued, but let's talk results. How well did Echo actually perform in those tests?
The researchers tested Echo across 3 different types of reasoning: arithmetic, common sense, and symbolic, and spoiler alert, it did exceptionally well.
Okay, but how well is exceptionally well? Give me some numbers.
Across all these areas, Echo consistently beat the baseline method, which is already pretty good at automating these demonstrations. But here's the kicker. Echo's performance was almost as good as the current gold standard, which relies on humans to create the examples.
Hold on, you're saying that Echo, which figures things out on its own, is nearly as good as a method that uses human intelligence to guide it. That's incredible.
It really is, and it suggests that this self-improvement, this adaptability, is a key ingredient in closing the gap between AI and human thinking.
It's like watching AI evolve right before our eyes. Okay, so Echo is great overall, but did it excel in any specific areas?
Interestingly, Echo really shone in symbolic reasoning tasks that even outperformed the human-guided method in that area. These tasks are all about abstract concepts and following logical rules, which seems to play right into Echo's strengths.
So for tasks that require that clear step-by-step logic, Echo might be the ultimate tool. But what about common sense reasoning? How did Echo handle those trickier, more human-like tasks?
That's where it gets a bit more complex. While Echo performed well in common sense reasoning, it didn't quite reach the level of the human-guided method. It seems that tasks requiring a deep understanding of the world and how we humans behave still benefit from that human touch.
I guess it makes sense. Common sense is one of those things that's hard to define, let alone teach to a machine.
Absolutely. But even though Echo didn't completely close the gap in common sense reasoning, its strong performance across the board suggests that it has the potential to change how AI reasons across a variety of tasks.
This is all very impressive.
Yeah.
But I'm still a bit fuzzy on the details. How does this whole unification process actually work? Do you walk me through it step by step?
Let's dive into the mechanics. Imagine you have a bunch of different ways to solve a math problem or explain a common sense concept. Echo's first step is to randomly choose one of these examples.
So it's not about picking the best one to start with, it just picks one at random.
Exactly. The goal is to make the model adapt to different starting points, to think flexibly.
I see. So what happens once Echo has chosen an example?
Here's where the magic happens. Echo looks at that example and tries to recreate its reasoning using all the other examples as a guide. It's like saying to the AI, okay, here's one way to solve this. Now, looking at these other approaches, can you create your own version of the solution, but make it as clear and consistent as possible?
So it's like a study group where everyone is trying to teach each other, and in the process, they all come to a deeper, more unified understanding.
That's a great analogy, and this process repeats Echo cycles through each example, rebuilding its reasoning each time and refining its approach.
So it's not a one-and-done deal. It's a continuous process of learning and refining.
Precisely. And as this happens, something really cool emerges. The reasoning for all the examples starts to converge into a more streamlined, efficient pattern. It's like the AI is discovering its own best practices for solving problems.
So it's not just about finding the answer. It's about finding the most elegant and efficient way to get there.
Exactly. And this focus on efficiency and consistency has some really interesting implications.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of implications are we talking about?
For one, it suggests that by encouraging AI to learn from different solutions and streamline their reasoning, we can make them more robust and adaptable. They're less likely to be thrown off by unexpected twists and turns.
So they're better at dealing with those curveballs that life throws at us.
Exactly. And there's another exciting implication. This focus on clear and consistent reasoning might make AI systems more transparent and explainable.
Wait, so you're saying that this approach could help us understand how AI is actually thinking?
It's definitely a possibility. If AI can articulate its thought process in a way that we understand, it could create new opportunities for collaboration and build trust between humans and machines.
Okay, that's a game changer. But I'm also wondering about the potential downsides. Earlier, we talked about the risk of overfitting, where the model gets too focused on the specific examples it's trained on. How does Echo handle that?
That's a great question. Overfitting is always a concern in machine learning, and Echo is no exception as the AI goes through more cycles of learning. There is a risk of its reasoning becoming too specific to the training examples. It's like a student who memorizes the textbook but can't apply the concepts to real-world situations.
So it's about finding the right balance, too little training,
Yeah.
and the system doesn't learn enough, too much training, and it becomes inflexible.
Exactly. The researchers found that around 4 cycles of learning struck a good balance between performance and flexibility. It's like finding that sweet spot where the AI is both knowledgeable and adaptable.
That makes sense. So we've covered a lot about Echo, from its impressive performance to the mechanics of the unification process. But I'm curious about one more thing. We've talked about how Echo embraces diversity in solutions. But what about diversity in the data itself? Did the researchers look at how Echo handles situations where the data is more varied or even conflicting?
That's a really important point, especially for an AI system that's meant to be adaptable. The researchers did explore this by testing Echo with different data conditions.
Okay. And what did they find? Does Echo thrive on diverse data, or does it prefer things to be more uniform?
They found that Echo actually benefits from some diversity in the data. It seems that exposure to a wider range of examples and solutions helps Echo build a more robust and adaptable reasoning framework.
So it's like the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. But there's a limit. Too much diversity can actually be a problem if the data is too varied or conflicting. Echo might struggle to find a unifying pattern that makes sense.
So it's all about striking that balance between diversity and coherence. We need enough variety to encourage adaptability, but not so much that it overwhelms the system.
Precisely, and this research really highlights how important it is to carefully choose the data used to train AI. We need to represent the complexity of the real world while also providing enough structure for the AI to learn effectively.
This reminds me of all those conversations about bias in AI. If we're not careful about the data we use, we could end up with AI that reflects our own biases and limitations. We need to make sure that the data we use is fair, unbiased, and representative of the world we want to create.
Absolutely. The data we feed AI systems shapes how they think and make decisions. It's crucial to be thoughtful and intentional about the data we use and the values we embed in these systems. It's about creating AI that works for everyone, not just a select few.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Echo.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground, from its impressive performance to the potential impact it could have on the future of AI. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to those captivating AI narratives we talked about earlier.
Sounds good to me. It's all connected after all.
All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into AI storytelling and reasoning. We've explored how to make AI discussions more captivating and how to enhance AI's thinking abilities. Now, let's talk about how these two seemingly separate ideas could actually shape the future of how we communicate about and with AI.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how these concepts come together. We're not just talking about making AI more entertaining. We're talking about creating a deeper understanding and connection between humans and machines.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this idea of using storytelling techniques to actually teach AI. We talked about how things like starting with a mystery or framing AI as a character can make these complex topics more engaging for us humans. But could these same techniques be used to help AI learn about the world and how we think?
That's a really interesting question. What if we could use stories to train AI not just on facts and data, but on things like human emotions, motivations, and even morality?
Whoa, that's a whole other level. Imagine feeding an AI system a library of classic literature, or even those binge-worthy TV shows we all love. Could it help AI develop a sense of empathy, learn about human relationships, maybe even develop a sense of humor?
I mean, stories are how we humans make sense of the world, right? They provide context, meaning, and emotional depth. If we could leverage that power to train AI, we might be able to create AI that understands us on a much deeper level.
That's both exciting and a little bit scary, to be honest, but let's not forget about Echo and how it helps AI reason more effectively. How could that play into the future of AI communication?
Well, if we can teach AI to think systematically, to break down complex problems and explain its solutions clearly, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for collaboration and understanding between humans and machines.
So instead of just getting a yes or no answer from AI, we could actually understand the why behind it.
Exactly, and that could be incredibly valuable in fields like healthcare, finance, and law, where transparency and accountability are so important. Imagine an AI system that can diagnose a disease and then clearly explain its reasoning to the doctor and the patient.
That would be a game changer in terms of building trust and making sure AI is used ethically. And what about those pattern interrupts we discussed earlier?
Yeah.
Could they play a role in how AI communicates with us?
Absolutely. Think about how those well-placed jump cuts or topic shifts can keep us engaged and prevent mental fatigue. What if AI systems could learn to incorporate those techniques into their interactions with humans?
So like if an AI is giving a presentation, it could throw in a funny anecdote or a surprising fact to keep the audience on their toes.
Exactly. It could learn to recognize when our attention is waning and adjust its communication style accordingly.
That would definitely make those long meetings with AI a lot more bearable.
Yeah.
But here's a thought that's been bouncing around in my head. We've talked about how to make AI more engaging, but what if AI actually became the storyteller?
Now that's an intriguing concept. We've seen AI generate art, music, and even code. What if it could create narratives that help us understand complex topics or even offer new perspectives on the human experience?
Imagine an AI that could create a documentary about climate change that resonates with people from all walks of life, or a novel that explores the philosophical implications of consciousness.
It's a glimpse into a future where AI isn't just a tool, but a creative partner, helping us explore the world and ourselves in new and unexpected ways.
I have to admit, I'm both excited and a little intimidated by that prospect. It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly groundbreaking.
And that's what makes exploring AI so fascinating. It's a constantly evolving field, pushing the boundaries of what's possible and challenging us to rethink our relationship with technology.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into AI storytelling and reasoning. We've covered a lot of ground today, from captivating narratives to the mechanics of echo and the potential for AI to become storytellers themselves.
It's been a great discussion. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And if this deep dive sparked your curiosity, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep exploring these fascinating AI insights with us. Until next time.